Welcome to Encompassing the Amazon, Ayahuasca, Vegetalismo, and Cultural Survival. This is a very special evening, in part because we have some very dear friends with us who have, pretty much all of our guests have appeared at City Lights before, and they also happen to be really some of the most knowledgeable people in their field. I want to give you a little bit of background before we begin. In 1963, City Lights published the Yahe letters, and they were a series of letters between Allen Ginsberg and William S. Burroughs. And they had both traveled down to South America in search of Yahe. That was by no means the first book to really explore consciousness studies. I mean, Huxley had already written The Doors of Perception, but it was indeed probably the first popular exposition or exploration of such things. And so we have really a continuum here. And it's been a kind of a mission statement for City Lights over the course of our publishing history and our history as a bookstore to be able to kind of offer all of you and to explore, to create a kind of a dialogue that goes into ethnobotanical traditions and also the survival of indigenous peoples and their cultures. And so really, we not only publish books, but we schedule events that bring a focus on these traditions and also on the threatened ecosystems where the flora and the cultures reside. So this evening would not really have been possible without the help of Robert Tyndall and his wife, Susanna. Together they lead groups into the Amazon rainforest to encounter indigenous healing traditions, and they've been doing some really amazing work. I also want to bring your attention, Susanna's over by this table. There are some really rare artifacts here tonight. These are fair trade objects. They are produced by the Shipibo people. And the designs that you see on these are the kinds of designs that are like synesthetic designs that are perceived by the curanderos, by the shamans, under the influence of plants like ayahuasca. So something to check out on your way out tonight. So Robert is a writer, classical guitarist, a student of indigenous healing traditions. He's going to be hosting tonight's event. He's going to be moderating. We're celebrating his new book, The Jaguar That Roams the Mind, The Amazonian Plant Spirit Odyssey, published by Intertraditions Books. And he's going to be joined by Lou DeMatteis, who is another dear friend of City Lights. He is an award-winning photojournalist, a documentary photographer. He's covered issues involving political, economic, and environmental importance over the last 30 years. And he is the co-author of a new book that's just got published by City Lights called Crude Reflections, Oil, Ruin, and Resistance in the Amazon Rainforest. And also joining him will be our dearly beloved Ralph Metzner. And he's been involved in consciousness research for over the last 45 years. To really do justice to his work, it would take the length of this program. So, I mean, from his participation in the psychedelic research at Harvard all the way through to his creation of the Green Earth Foundation, he's really probably one of the foremost authorities in the realm of the transpersonal, and has conducted numerous workshops on consciousness transformation, both nationally and internationally. He is the author of numerous books, including Sacred Vine of Spirits, Ayahuasca, Sacred Mushrooms of Vision, The Unfolding Self, Varieties of Transformative Experience, and he's also got some new books out on Regent Press, which sadly we don't have with us tonight, but we're working on getting them. And I believe that the publisher of Regent is here with us. Hey. And he brought some books, so there you go. All is not lost. And last but not least, another dear, dear friend, Dale Pendell. Dale is a writer, a poet, a lifelong student of ethnobotany. He's like highly regarded in his knowledge of psychoactive plants, drugs, and their lore. He's also the author of several books, including the wonderful Pharmacotrilogy, which is this great kind of encyclopedia of psychoactive compounds. He's also the author of Inspired Madness, Gifts of Burning Man. For those of you who are about to go off to Burning Man, you should definitely check that out. And most recently, he wrote a book on his friendship with Norman O. Brown, a really, really special collection of kind of basically just walks in wilderness and talks. And it's called Conversations with Norman O. Brown. So please join us in giving them all a very warm welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I feel like, I don't know, I've attained an unforeseen level of something tonight. And it's really an incredible honor to be here at City Lights, to be here with Dale and Ralph and Lou. And but the thing that I mostly want to recognize tonight is what brought us all together, which is a love of indigenous cultures, of plant medicines, and the work of the native healers, and the desire to protect their cultures and their ecosystems. So, the jaguar that roams the mind came about as a kind of dovetailing of three kinds of loves that were happening in my life. One of them was with the practice of pilgrimage, and it is wonderful that we are in a way revisiting that impulse too, to go forth and travel and encounter other cultures, and to not come back with trophies, cultural trophies, but instead to come back as a changed person, to bring something of the teaching of our grandfathers, our grandmothers, the older cultures of the world into this milieu. And so I want to recognize this historical cycle that's happening here, and I hope that it continues well into the future. I became interested in the practice of pilgrimage when I began studying particularly medieval romances, and I just decided, well, if the knights can go forth into the forest and encounter their own selves there and come back transformed, why can't we? And I began exploring that route where the person on the pilgrimage and the road that they're on, the terrain that they're going through, start becoming one. And I found that to be a remarkable practice down through the years. A second impulse was the discovery of the healing potentials of these plants. And when I first began working with them, I found that the catalyzing effects of ayahuasca were such that work that I was doing suddenly leapt forward at a kind of light speed. And I sort of felt like Telemachus encountering Athena for the first time. And my world suddenly took on a whole dimension of meaning that I hadn't even been aware was there. And this path continues with the plant teacher ayahuasca. And the third is a love of nature, a love of the natural world, the gift of our living planet. And so the book actually began with me on completely the other side of the world in Morocco, trying to do a complete other literary project on the Children's Crusade. And things evolved from there, and a kind of vision that I had in the desert of the Sahara decided me that it was time to take a big detour and head to the other side of the planet and get into an understanding of how shamans work and what the jungle is like.